I have people telling me it's inconceivable that 4 or 5 people can get together because they care enough about a project, rotate who works to pay their bills. The inability that they seem to have, young people seem to have, in departing from this individualistic notion of everybody having to have their own things and do their own thing, which is supported by the whole ideologically driven media and education, is that you can't think of yourself as part of a socially supportive collective group that enjoys being together and doing things together, and that this is valuable. I think that's a big obstacle. It can be done, I assure you. It is not hard. It's a lot of fun. But the obstacles, the financial and ideological obstacles that are put in place by the same people who brought you the Vietnam War, are what's holding you back.
I mean, throughout all of human history, these struggles have been going on, and they've been successful. The world is not very pleasant, but you don't have to go back very far when it was a lot more unpleasant. It's like we don't have slavery, literal slavery. Jails are bad, but not very long ago, civilized countries like Norway didn't have a lot of people in prison. The reason was that if a person robbed a store or something, you'd drive a stake through his hand. Then you didn't need prisons. We don't have to go very far back to see these things. A century ago, maybe the worst human being that human history has ever created, at least I can't think of anyone worse, was Joseph Mengele. His monstrous experiments under the Nazi period. You go back 100 years, right here in Boston, highly respected doctors were carrying out Mengele-type experiments. Their pictures are on the walls in Harvard Med School. Mengele-type experiments on Irish indigent women and black women, devising the techniques that are now used in gynecological surgery. You take a woman, you keep doing experiment after experiment and so on, and nothing was considered wrong about that. It was just like part of the culture. You go back 40 years and elementary things like, just ordinary respect for women's rights didn't exist. It's just in like our lifetimes, and you can make progress. There are a lot of things you can do, but it's never going to be easy. As I said, you have to expect that most worthwhile efforts are going to mostly fail. If they're worthwhile, they are confronting power and authority, and hence could very well fail and probably will, but there's a measure of success. If you ask what the challenges are, well, they're endless. Last comment, it's not easy. I mean, there's a cost. There's gains and there's costs, and you just have to make your own decisions. Some of the costs are more severe now than they were in the 60s. So in the 1960s, it was people your age in the 1960s could realistically believe, students at MIT, they could realistically believe that they could take a couple of years off and become involved in, some sort of devote themselves to activism and then come back and go off and end up with a, nice, rich career somewhere. That's not true anymore. There's a lot of discipline has come about by simply the economic constraints, which are not matters of economic law. They're matters of decision, decisions within institutions, which have very sharply restricted opportunity and impose discipline, because there are ways of ensuring that people who step out of line will not be able to step back into line. And there's no point denying that it's true. It's real, and you're going to have people face it, and that has a disciplinary effect. On the other hand, if you consider the problems that most of the 99% of the people in the world face, the problems that people like most of us face are, you can't even mention them. I mean, yeah, there's a little repression. I mean, maybe you don't get the job you wanted, maybe somebody yells at you or something like that. But it's nothing like what most of the people in the world have to live with. So to think that these are obstacles that can't be overcome just doesn't make any sense. There are endless possibilities, and the world is what you make of it.